Hello YouTubers, how are you? I hope you're fine. I'm fine as well, although I'm back to work now, so it's plenty. I don't have that much time for these video activities. Although I thought it would be a great idea now this Saturday to make a new video showing some of the latest purchases in my record collection. So, where to begin? Well, first of all, I've been able to get a hold of quite a number of these records in the series The History of Rock. It's published by Orbis Publishing Limited. They published 40 volumes. I had to check this on the internet how many there were in total. 40 issues from 1981 to 1987, I think. They were all double albums, I think, apart from this first one, the first volume with, of course, the King, Elvis Presley. I think I've been able to find maybe around 10 different volumes. I have to say they're very good. I mean, it's always difficult to pick the best numbers, but from what I've heard, of course, I'm not an expert on all the artists that are featured in these volumes, but I think it's a fairly good selection of their best recordings. This Elvis Presley record contains mainly, well, material from, well, before he joined the army, and many Elvis fans think that was his best that was his best period. It was a good period. I'm not really sure if it was his best, but still. So this is actually issued by RCA, although it's published by Orbis. All the other records in this series were, well, mainly published by Orbis. I wonder how this company, how they managed to get the right to reissue all these recordings from different record companies. I have no idea about this Orbis Publishing Limited, what they're all about, because I've never seen them in any other time than when they issue these albums. They are quite a good start if you're really curious on a particular artist. Of course, in my case, I mean, Elvis Presley isn't really anyone I'm curious about, since I already have over 100 albums with him, but still would like to have it all. Yeah, it's sick, I know. Yeah, over to some new music from the late 90s, early 2000. The French duo Air, of course, mainly known for Moon Safari, and, well, which is in my book one of the best albums of the last 20 years. This soundtrack from the motion picture Virgin Suicide, music scores by the Sofia Coppola film, has been reissued lately on vinyl some years ago, and of course I never bought it back then. I didn't see the movie back then, but I've done it since then. I mean, the music is great, and it's a disturbing but very good movie also. Then I got hold of this, well, let's call it an EP, Premiere Symptoms, a collection of their earliest recordings, mainly made before their big breakthrough with Moon Safari. Yeah, and over to a record that I've been looking for some time, and it has a connection with the YouTube vinyl community, and I'm sure many of you already are familiar with this album. It's Lines and Dots by Anders Ahlén Unit, and of course Anders Ahlén is the same guy as Anders in Stockholm, a well-renowned part of the YouTube vinyl community, a great guitar player as well, and this is his group's first album that was issued, I think, in, well, last autumn. I haven't been able to find a copy of it until now, although probably because I started searching a bit late for it, but now I have it. And although I have to say that this free form jazz slash bop isn't really my cup of tea, but I think it's very enjoyable and great in all ways, although I'm probably the last person to make some sort of official review about it because it's not really my music style, but nevertheless, well played, very well played, and a great album. Great recorded also, great sound quality, everything has some, and also I've been able to watch some reviews of this album online, and it's been mainly getting very well. I have only seen great reviews for the album, so if you don't have it, try to get hold of a copy. This vinyl issue was only limited edition, 500 copies, so might start be a bit difficult to get hold of now, but it is also of course available on CD. So right, okay, over to a Swedish legendary pop group, guitar group, the Spotniks, that were quite big in the 60s and well, in the 70s too, in Germany and in Japan and all over the world, at least Europe and Asia. This is a reissue of an album they recorded in 1967. It was just called The Spotniks, with a quite boring sleeve. This reissue has, as you can see, a bit of a more exciting sleeve, and it's called Psst Baby, Spotniks Are Calling, on the Interdisc label, and they often reissued material from the Swedish label that recorded their original material. Right, and Bo Winberg, lead guitar player, and his group, well, reliable pop music, reliable guitar music from him, with a very particular sound that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Right, one of my favorite groups of the 1990s was The Beautiful South, with, well, Paul Heaton, the singer and songwriter, well, lyricist mainly, who I think is one of the best lyricists of the 1990s mainly. I've got all their CDs back in the days, but lately I've been trying to find their records on vinyl too. The first two ones aren't that problematic to find. This is the third one, 0898, The Beautiful South, which I think is one of their best albums. I thought that this was the last one that was issued on vinyl, but I've heard from others here in the YouTube vinyl community who have more knowledge than me about this case, that well, almost all of their albums, even the later ones, were issued in on vinyl format, although maybe in a quite small quantity. So this is the last one that is fairly simple to get hold of, even if it took me quite a while. But the one that came after this, Meow from 1994 and Blue is the Color from 96 and Quench from 98 might be a bit more tricky to get hold on a vinyl copy, but I'm going to do my best because I'm very fond of those albums as well. Right, back to the 60s. This is a very nice record with material with animals, material from 1964 to 65. It is actually a Swedish issue from, well, the sleeve says 1968, but on the record label it says 1967, so it's somewhere there in between, with early material like Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood and Baby Let Me Take You Home. This is actually, well, as I said, Swedish issue, and I think it has only been issued in Sweden, especially with this sleeve. I don't think I even found it on Discogs, which is a bit rare, so maybe I should put it there. Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's a very good issue and quite rare, so happy to find that. This is Rock and Roll Girls. It is a fairly recent Dutch issue with some very scarce rock music from the 1960s. We got Betty Nickel and the Rockettes, Linda and the Epics, Colin Carson, Brenda Darling, Genia Merrill and the Crownsman. Very scarce names that aren't that famous today. I haven't heard of most of these people, most of these girls, but it's a very good compilation with lots of rare rock and roll tracks from back in the 1960s and, well, probably late 50s as well. Happy to find it. Right. I'm not that interested. Well, I've got some interest in country music. If we talk about really old country music, if we talk about Johnny Cash, maybe old hillbilly music from the 30s, 40s, and so on. Modern country isn't that interesting. Although there's a great exception in the singer Tanya Tucker, who I think is very good. And this is a nice live album with Tanya Tucker that I managed to find some time ago. Very enjoyable on the MCA label. Okay, let's see now. My records are not in the best of order here. Yeah, I got hold of 3 reissues by the Kinks on the Sanctuary label. I've been buying some of their older records, some other records on reissues as well, because they are fairly difficult to get a hold of in good condition and for a good price these days. So I found this, the Kink Controversy. It's on red vinyl. Kinda Kinks, also on red vinyl. And this one, the Kinks. This one I actually have a copy of an original pressing from 1964, I think. I think it's on Pi Records. I may be mistaken there. In fairly good condition, but why not? Right, okay, then we have a soundtrack here with Bilitis or whatever. Music by Francis Lai, with film by David Hamilton. A bit nudity for those of you who like that. Very good music. Francis Lai is always reliable when it comes to film music. We have a copy of America from 1971 on Warner Brothers. A bit torn or worn, the cover, but the sleeve, but the record is in fairly good condition. I've been listening more and more to America lately. I found an album the first time this summer, so I think I've talked about them here as well before. I didn't have this though, and I'm very happy I found it. Okay, 30 minutes, let's move on. I found a jazz album with the Danish pianist Ole Dixon that I didn't know at all, but it is a very early album, or an early album from I think 1957 or 58 on the Metronome label. And since I find early Metronome material interesting, I bought it, and it's in great condition, great sleeve, great it's great, although not amazing piano jazz. And also I took the time to read up a bit about Ole Dixon, because I hadn't really heard about him, but he's a bit of a legend in Denmark. And he died quite early, I think in the 1970s. Right, 3 more records. This is, well, let's show it. Double album with the Lovin Spoonful on the Kama Sutra label. 24 karat hits, a double dozen of the all-time bestsellers by the Lovin Spoonful. Not sure when it's from, but it has the yellow Kama Sutra label, and I think that was mainly used in the 1960s. So anyway, it's a great compilation. We got the most famous songs, like Daydream, Summer in the City, Do You Believe in Magic? And I didn't have that much material by the Lovin Spoonful before, so glad to find that. Okay, over to jazz album on Fantasy, which is great album for interesting jazz. The sleeve is rather, well, hopelessly bad, and the record is in, well, it's in VG minus VG condition, but you have to love this lovely deep red vinyl. And it's a very good record too. We got Elliot Lawrence plays Jerry Mulligan arrangements, and very nice record. I see here it was originally bought in Finland. Not that important though, but an interesting little fact. And finally, another beat up, or rather worn record. It's the first album by the Swedish 1960s beat group Mascots. It's called Your Mascots. They made 2 albums and lots of singles. Now I got both their albums. They are today quite rare and quite sought after, and so they often tend to get quite expensive. This was fairly cheap, although it is a bit worn, and it also has a bit of a warp that affects the sound a bit. But until I find a better copy of it, I will keep this. Yeah, we have also on this record the father of a former colleague of mine, Stefan Ringbom, who would later be a great star in the group Fria Proteater. Right, that's all for now. I wish you a great weekend, or whatever day you watch this video. I have nothing more to say now, and I'll say, well, toodaloo, bye for now.